Hey everybody, this is Nolan North, and I've already stopped listening to Super GameCast 64. You should too.
Let's go. Hello and welcome to another episode of Super GamesCast 64. This is episode 30-something. I don't really know right now. I don't have it in front of me. Yeah, get close to the mic there, Austin. Get close to the mic. We can't really hear you.
I'm talking to you, not the product.
Your docile tones of Austin Engler today.
Hey, everybody, I'm Austin Engler.
Austin Guttery, he is not here. We had some contract disputes.
He had a replacement, Austin.
A lot of fighting. I had to get a replacement because we had some disputes on the his payment and just the offensive things he said on the last podcast. We had to suspend him. But in his contract, unfortunately, it says the only person that we can replace him with is someone else named Austin. And so I went to my Austin Rolodex, and I found Austin Engler, a good friend of mine.
Payment wasn't discussed.
No, don't worry about that. You don't need to worry about all that rigmarole of payment. You don't need to worry about that. So, yeah, Austin Guttery is here today instead of Austin.
You just
wait a minute. I'm already mixing it up.
Austin Engler is here
instead of Austin Guttery. Austin Guttery's dead, to me at least. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Pretty good. Is this the first podcast you've ever been on?
This is the first podcast I have ever been on.
Okay. I didn't take that into account when I asked you. I assumed maybe you might have some
should have asked questions
experience,
before.
But no. I guess not.
No, so I have definitely been tuning in on your podcast, though.
I appreciate it.
Mainly because you tell me to.
Yeah, I do. I force you to. That's been kind of the relationship between me and... So I've known Austin for a while. I mean, Austin is a member of my fraternity, Fiji, at UNT. And when I started my YouTube channel, he came up to me and was like, hey, man, I'd love to help out with your YouTube channel. Little did he know I would take his offer seriously. And now every weekend I'm barraging him with questions. He just wants to go out and drink with his friends, spend time with his lovely girlfriend Maria, who's here in studio with us. But no, I force him to do my bidding on video stuff and building PCs and all that.
I definitely do really enjoy helping you write all that stuff. Because, I mean, I know it's your YouTube channel, but whenever I'm helping you write, I feel like a lot of the content going on there, sometimes, not a lot of it, but a good amount of it is, I just enjoy helping it and then seeing it come into fruition. It's real nice.
Yeah, I think I totally enjoy any time we work together.
And then you're welcome for the PC. That was
thank you. That was great.
Kidding. No, I had a lot of fun building that for you. If you ever need any, I've been hearing you have some problems with it, so if you need some help, I can come help.
I think it's okay now. But we'll see.
Keep an eye on it, because it's been like sporadic lately.
I'll tell you though, I just posted a new video on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/CraigTreyVince, and it's a 15-minute video. It's a behemoth of a video, and on my Mac that would take a few hours to export and render all that. It took 7 minutes to export.
Honestly, that PC we built for you was a beast. It was a wonderful machine. I am so jealous that you own it, because when me and Aaron built ours, we were like, wow, these are crazy awesome PCs. And then the moment we started piecing yours together, I mean, it just made ours look like toasters, like.
It's pretty awesome. And I don't like bragging and stuff to people. And I always get really uncomfortable when people are like, man, I'm so jealous you got that. It's such an awesome PC.
If only you knew how to use it.
If only, I feel like it was an episode of The Office where, I forgot who it was, but they were trying. It might have been Dwight, who was really taking the poker very seriously, and then Phyllis is just winning all the time. She has no clue what she's doing, and I feel like Phyllis, where I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I got this awesome
put that thing together,
PC,
and we know all its specs, and you're
like,
over here like, I'm
overload.
I'm web searching with it.
I'm just doing whatever. Oh my God, why is it on fire? Who cares?
But definitely, as an editing machine, I feel like we did do you a service kind of building that thing. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and claim I'm the best PC builder or anything, but I think with the limited amount of knowledge that me and Aaron had, I'm glad that we built you something that can edit stuff effectively and be proactive, instead of like sitting on your Mac, because I remember you telling me about editing on the Mac, and it was just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge Mac fan. I don't discredit Macs. They're good computers. They're computers in general.
Yeah, they're good for, you're in college and you're maybe doing some like maybe audio editing and, photo editing and maybe
for
small
artistic
video editing.
purposes,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of art on Macs. Whenever I was using my Wacom pad and in Photoshop on Mac, they run fine. But the thing is, you got to spend so much more money for a good Mac than you have to spend for, if you build your own PC. We built. You can get Macs as powerful as your PC, but we built what you have for so much cheaper than you would have equivalently had to spend on a Mac with that much power.
Mm-hmm.
And a Mac is just a PC. I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't really put that.
Just a bill on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm just a bill.
Maria, you can come on anytime you want. Just pop on and say hi. No, she's shy.
All right.
So, yeah, man, it's been fun. It's good to have you on. I'll see you later.
Definitely. You showed me around the station here. I'm loving it. I'm glad to be here. I've been, like I said, I've been listening to your podcast, and I've been texting you, like, saying, oh, you've always texted me, and you're like, you should come on the podcast. And I was like, yeah, that sounds kind of cool. And I would, like, brush it off. But then, like, now that I'm here, it just seems like so much fun. We're going to end up, we hang out so much, we're going to end up having conversations anyway. Why not put, put some of our, thoughts and, things that we come up with to some kind of good use.
Well, definitely. And I've appreciated, I don't mean this to be a whole J-off fest, the first 8 minutes of the podcast, but
no, we want the whole podcast.
Whole podcast just about how much we like each other and how great we are.
Episode 30 something not.
Episode 30 something not.
The J-off fest.
Trey had another Austin come on and they just talked about each other the whole time. But no, you helping me with the scripts. I think you're a really intelligent guy. You're a really good writer, and so yeah, I definitely wanted you to come up because I feel that. I think we have good, repertoire.
I was about to say, what I think would be fun is maybe in one of these future episodes in the summers if we could bring Carricker up on one of these.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh, yeah,
that'd be fun. Maybe even Aaron.
Oh yeah. I have a bunch of good friends.
Just get the friends up here. I
have a bunch of good friends from one of my friends is a creative writing major, up at SCAD up at Savannah College of Art and Design, and then I have my roommate Aaron, and they're both really into these topics, so I think it'd be. I think it'd be really fun to have people that obviously we hang out with, but normally we have Austin and stuff. And I even think it'd be fun to introduce like Austin and Austin and other Austin.
So many Austins. There's a lot of Austins.
Austin and other Austin.
I know a ton of Austins.
Yeah.
Bad Radio and the Musers also did like top 10 names for babies. I'm surprised Austin wasn't on any of those lists.
Yeah.
It may just be a regional thing. With Texas.
Yeah, I think it's a very big Texas thing.
Because there's so many Austins.
I really do think it's the Texas thing. That's something let's go ahead and lay claim to it.
Lay claim.
It's a fun little tradition, I guess. I don't know.
So this is Super GamesCast 64. We talk about video games, video game news, sometimes topics. It's tough because there's a lot of topics in the world, and sometimes we don't want to talk about those topics. So pretty much, Austin, how we do the show is we kind of start talking about what we've been playing, then we go into the news, and then I kind of want to talk to you about sort of your history with video games and maybe even YouTube and stuff like that, because you are, I guess, you're 6 years younger than me, I want to say.
Yeah, I'm 22 now, so you're
29, about to be 29.
Yeah, I'm about to be 23. So
we got a difference, which I've always hung out with people younger than me. It's never been a big deal. But as far as I think, in my opinion, and we could debate this when we talk about it, but I think as far as things games we played and movies we saw when we first came into consciousness about that stuff are different.
Well, I was about to say, I think it was definitely the fraternity that allowed us to meet.
Oh, 100%.
I think it was our interests. I don't think it's the fraternity that has carried our friendship. I think, it was great. We met each other, through Fiji, but it has been, because there's a lot of people currently in Fiji that I see a lot more often than you do that I don't really like, or not that I dislike, but I don't hang out with.
I know what you're saying.
I think it is definitely our interests that have, sparked that, and I think it, talking about old video games we used to play or, whether it be movies, we're both really big movie buffs. I think that has really helped out. Keep this friendship going because we like the same stuff. It tends to be, I'll be like, hey, I'm playing a video game, and like whenever we'll bring this topic up a little bit later, but whenever I was like, oh, I'm playing this game on my computer, and you're like, yeah, I bought that. How is it?
Mm-hmm.
And,
I think now, but I think when you grow up though, things are so like I remember I had a best friend, Austin. What's his name actually?
Oh my God.
And Austin Hinder, and he
Oh, yeah.
was a year older than me.
Uh-huh.
But I thought he was like 3 years older than me. I thought he was the oldest kid I knew.
Oh yeah.
So I think when you're a kid, though, the age is a lot different.
I think the age. I was talking to my mom about this. It sounds weird lesson I've learned, but I was talking to my mother about this recently, and she had one of her friends come over, and I was sitting there saying, the funny thing is, when I was a kid, I would look at all of my mom's friends or my dad's friends or my older cousin's friends, and I would be like, wow, they're so old, they're so mature. And then as I've gotten older, I realized they're just big kids.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the age gap stops mattering, is whenever you start to get old, you realize you don't have to be around the same age as people to really understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Like that age gap when you're a kid, it just seems so vast.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't even try, communicating with some of them. But
once you get to 20, there are
Yeah.
people at the station that I know that are 40 and they act like they're 25.
I was
And
about
then
to
there's
say, take Jason, for example. Jason's what, like 30 something. And,
yeah, he's an old guy.
and he gets along with some of us younger guys.
Yeah.
Just as
Even
well
in
as,
Matt Hyland, he's
Oh, yeah.
25, but
Yeah.
he usually hangs out with the older guys,
yeah.
and so it's just different.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just think that whole age gap doesn't really become an issue as you
No.
start to get older, because you start to realize that people don't mature as much as you actually thought they did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
People have their own interests, and
And I think maybe 20 years ago was different, but I think now just with the internet and how
modern culture.
and how I think pop culture is seeped into culture in general
Mhm.
more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think people want to talk about Game of Thrones and Star Wars rather than
Well, and
politics.
you have to realize
these days.
that.
Though it might be a little different nowadays, but
But the thing is, back when you were, back 20 years ago, nerd culture was something seen as
negative actually.
negative.
Yeah.
And if you were interested in Star Trek or Star Wars or Marvel or
Mhm.
DC universes, you were a child. That was a teenage thing to do, and
Not even teenage, like kid thing to do.
and a lot of people were seeing, like if you were an adult and you were into that, I feel like now don't.
No, you're
get me
100%
wrong,
right. You're 100%
I'm not,
correct.
I wasn't born in
Yeah.
like the 80s or anything, but in my personal experience, if you were, because I have a bunch of uncles that were into it, and if you were an adult and you were into that, you didn't bring it up in public,
Right.
But now it's, now you get, some of my coworkers who were 30 something years old would be like, yeah, we're about to go out to see, the new Guardians of the Galaxy
Yeah.
movie. That you didn't go see that
No.
stuff if you were an adult back then, But now nerd culture as people don't think about it, but its influence is slowly starting to take over pop culture, and people are like, oh, it's a Marvel movie, it's a cool action movie, but people back then would have been like, oh no, it's a superhero movie, it's lame, it's nerdy.
And also I think back
It's-
then those movies weren't made as well as they are now.
It's done
But yeah.
definitely in a much more what exactly would the word be?
Well, I think it's just
thematic.
it's a progression.
Yeah,
It's
done in a much. It's done in a
it's not-
style that can reach out to a wider population.
Yeah.
But it is still a superhero.
It's not
movie.
Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Anymore.
It's
It's turned into big stars, big Academy Award winning stars.
Yeah.
Heath Ledger.
but
yeah.
as much as that is part of it, I still think that it boils down to people are starting to accept that nerdy things are cool, and they always have been cool, but people are finally able to accept that
Mhm.
they are cool and you shouldn't be shamed for liking cool things.
Yeah.
Everyone has this kind of childhood mind in the back of their heads saying explosions and superheroes, and action. That's all cool. But when you're an adult, you can't like that. Why not? It's never left you. It's always going to be cool. And I think it's cool that people have finally come within the past few years to accept that you're allowed to like cool stuff like that still.
And even with sports, I think people like to, they're into sports, but they don't like any of that nerdy stuff. Well, sports are kind of nerdy, when you think about it. And you could
it's a different kind.
Yeah, but I mean, you think of Bob Stern, big, he's really into the numbers and the stats, and he'll watch an old game from the 90s, and he's a total nerd. That's it's everyone has their own kind of thing. And so I think it's funny when people who are very, very serious about sports like to make fun of like the nerdy stuff. It's
or
like,
even
you're kind of a nerd too. Yeah, it's all the same thing.
Or
it's
even
all
separating it into different types of like nerdy. You know, I'm an engineering major, and I love. I've always been an artist. I've always loved writing stories. At some point in my life, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to write my own stories.
You seem like you have a lot of fingers and a lot of buckets too.
But
like you make cheese and stuff now, right?
I don't make cheese. That's bullshit. I make beer. But
still.
No, but I did like watching that guy, the guy on YouTube that made cheese because he had a real relaxing like Australian voice.
Yeah.
But you're splitting it into different buckets. I something about, and I've had my like internal conflicts with, do I want to do art or do science? And as I do an engineering major and it starts to get increasingly harder, I've always told myself, well, what if I just quit engineering and fall back on art? But, that's something I can do my whole life. It's just a passion. It's something I can do without, but something that keeps me in the field is that I do find physics and science very interesting. And then as I start to get into harder classes and question whether or not this is should I be here, I start to like think about all the things I can do someday with it, and that sounds cool, And so even that, even this whole, whether or not it be Marvel and superheroes, like movies like The Martian did extraordinarily well in the box office.
Oh yeah.
And people,
Interstellar,
science fiction has always done well, but it has done I think more scientific films. You look back at sci-fi, Alien, back in the 80s, Alien, RoboCop,
I just did a whole video on that. Yeah.
They were, I know, I saw that. That's why I'm bringing it up. So many films back then were sci-fi, but they were more fiction than science. There is a lot of films coming out nowadays that are more science than fiction, and they are doing relatively very well. I was about to say just as well. I don't know if they're doing just as well, but they're doing very well. And I feel like
that's interesting. I never kind of thought about that because you're right. I mean,
feel like filmmakers nowadays who want to make sci-fi films, they're taking a more scientific approach because they know that there is a larger
we are in the future.
There is a larger number of engineers and scientists, taking college courses, so they know if they make a film that strays away from science, they're going to have a ton of people on the internet calling bullshit on everything, So, I feel like a lot of people want to see more science-y type movies, and that also, very much encompasses that idea that, nerd culture is somewhat taking over in a way. And, I don't know, I just think it's really cool. There's so many different factors to that idea, and it just makes me happy that it's being more generally recognized. Because a lot of these different movies encompass a lot of different ideas I like. I like crazy storytelling that involves no science, and then I love scientific films. And so when the fact that just both these different ideas can be acknowledged nowadays is something that I find quite fascinating because I love them both. And
so I guess I'm with you there, man.
We kind of went off on a tangent.
No, you're good.
There, but
You're good. It's a conversational podcast.
Yeah.
So what have you been playing recently, Austin?
Recently.
Now you know what? Maybe I'll go first because I think I want to talk about what you've been. So I haven't really. I've been a little busy with this video, but I've been playing a little more Horizon, which I really like. But I kind of came onto a thing where it kind of disappointed me where there's a mission where I think you're supposed to sneak into like, it's almost like a stadium. And I was trying to get through, but it wouldn't let me through, even though there was obviously an opening. And I mean, it seems like I'm the only person who's had this issue, because everyone else says the game is, gorgeous and it's amazing. And it kind of frustrated me a little bit, because it kind of broke the immersion a little bit, that I couldn't get in through a different way into the stadium area.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my only gripe. I mean, it's a great game, Horizon. I just I need to really sit down and play it more, because I haven't played a lot of it, and I want to get that story done so we can do a podcast on it. And play a little more Zelda. I'm going to try to get that complete. I think we're going to do our podcast on it next week.
So now, have you not finished Zelda yet?
I've not finished it yet.
Okay, I have not talked to a lot of people who have finished it yet.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
a
really
big
that
game.
long of a game?
Oh,
or-
yeah. It's a big game.
Really, I am stoked to play it. I just haven't gotten around to getting a Switch or.
Can't get that Switch, man. Play
Yeah.
that Mario Kart? Dude.
Yeah. I'm more stoked about Zelda.
Dude,
Even
Mario
if I get a
Kart's great,
Switch, I'm
though.
not getting Mario Kart.
Dude,
I'm getting
you gotta
Zelda.
get Mario Kart.
I mean,
and
I'll
Zelda.
get it at some point, but
You gotta get both.
yeah, absolutely. But Zelda is my first priority if I get a Switch.
Okay. No, it should be. It's great. You should play it. So, what have you been playing?
I have been, and I was steamrolling through it, for a couple days, and then if I was still playing, I think I would still be a heck of a lot further on it. But within the past week or so, I've been visiting my mom, so I haven't been home. I've been playing a lot of Nier Automata, and other than that, like Battlefield and stuff, the usual kind of time wasters.
Players
Battlefield,
Unknown.
Overwatch.
Playing that?
A lot of. No, we haven't played Players Unknown.
No, I played one game of it. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I think I did it before I went to work. I'm like, okay, let me just play a game.
Me, you, Aaron, and Carricker has it now.
Doesn't Willick have it as well?
Wilk has it as well. So we all, not all 5 of us, obviously, some amount of 4 of us need to play it at some point. Me and Aaron have been talking about playing with you recently, but a lot of Player Unknown. Player Unknown's tough, but it is fun. But other than that, Player Unknown's actually, I was almost forgot about mentioning that, but that's been chewing up a lot of my time. But other than that, Nier Automata has been my main play recently. Wonderful game.
I've been staring at it. It's a game I need to play. It's in the mix between Zelda, Horizon, and Nier right now.
It is. I mean, if we're talking about like just absolutely amazing, fun hack and slash type game, it is. I mean, it'll keep you interested. I mean, you could go around. It's one of those games where you can run around the open world and just kill the minions, like the basic minions, and you could just do that for almost an hour and have fun. But there is one huge gripe I have about it. Player model, like character models, beautiful story.
I hear the story is amazing.
Story is very well told, and there is. Once you beat the game, you have not beat it.
No,
not by a long shot.
Like, how many different endings?
There is 4 different endings.
Yeah.
I might be wrong. It might be 5. I think it's 4. But it's different playthroughs though. It's like you don't just get a different ending. So the first playthrough you play as.
It's not like Infamous where there's the you can get the good ending and the bad ending. It's
no,
like,
it is like there is a playthrough.
Yeah.
The first playthrough is you play as 2B, the whole storyline. And there's times when you have a partner named 9S, you get separated, and so the second time you actually, once you beat the game, you don't just get a second ending. You have to play through the game again, but you're playing through 9S's perspective. And so a lot of it is repetitive, because there's a lot of times when you're with 2B, so the same story happens. Any side quest you completed in the first playthrough are completed, but if you were like 3/4 of the way through a side quest, you have to restart it. So you play through as 9S. Any time you get separated, you're obviously on his perspective at this point through, and then you get a second ending from that. And then I am currently through that second playthrough where I'm playing as 9S. I have not beaten that one yet. So apparently the third, storyline takes place after the first and second storylines, because they're technically the same. They follow the same path, or same story, just different paths, and then they converge at some point at the very end of those 2 stories. The third playthrough is just a continuation on top of those. And I think some new playable characters, or a new playable character gets introduced there. And then there's some fourth story. I have no clue what the fourth one is.
I hear there's some kind of crazy, like end game thing.
I heard there was some twists, and I'm excited to finish up the second playthrough and see what's gonna happen.
And I remember this game. I don't remember the game getting announced, but I remember the creator had that big, weird mask.
I didn't see it get announced, but
well, it was E3, and remember there was like memes going around, or memes, according to Jake, going around where the guy was wearing this big, creepy moon head.
That is that's actually a character you run into in the game. He's a shop owner. Currently, where I am in the game, I have not figured out who he is. I think you might figure out who he is later. But what I was about to say is,
what's your gripe? I guess
this gripe that I have about the game is beautiful. I mean, beautiful character design, beautiful combat. Even the enemies, you look at the enemies and the robots are so basic looking, but you're like, that's what brings almost part of the beauty of the game, is that they're just these basic looking robots. The map. I do not like the open world map. It is so, and I read a thread online about this, and this was before I played it. I bought it. I think but this one guy made a comment on this thread about how the open world map just did not satisfy him, and I was like, okay, well, I'll buy the game and I'll give it a try and I'll see what he's saying. The moment I opened that game up, maybe not the opening sequence. I do like the artwork on the opening sequence, the map artwork, but when you get into the open world, when you get into the city ruins or the desert, anything like that, it looks, and don't get me wrong, this is no reason not to buy the game, not to play it, because it's still completely worth it. I love the game. It feels empty. It's not, it looks unfinished. It looks like the characters were designed well. It almost looks like a finished game with an unfinished map, is what I would say. It looks empty. It doesn't feel lifelike. Someone was saying this, and it is so true. I read this online. Someone was saying this. It almost looks like someone took a finished game and then had some video game design student who had just learned how to make maps, and then they put this finished game into his map. It's a beautiful game in a not beautiful world, is my gripe.
Okay.
But I'm not saying,
having not played, I can't argue with you, I guess. Yeah.
I would not say that it is an ugly world. It doesn't look horrendous, but it almost looks like it was taken to that stage where it was just almost finished, and then they stopped.
Okay.
And
how long do you think you have left in the playing the game?
Well, like I said, I am about, I think, if I honestly put a few hours in, I could crank through that second storyline really quick. And then I heard that there was a good number of hours after that. So I do have, I'm about halfway through the second storyline, which is the same storyline, just through 9S's perspective. So I'm about halfway through that. So I could probably finish that up pretty quick. And then I have the third and fourth, stories to finish, which I heard is, I think, about like anywhere from 12 to 18 hours on top of what I have. So maybe about like 20 hours.
Damn.
It is.
Now, I know Richard played it, right? Or I'm sorry, not Richard. Rex played it, right? Did he finish it?
No, you were telling me that. You said that he finished it, but I don't know if by finished it you mean he finished the first playthrough or if he finished all of it. Because, because there's the first playthrough and then the second playthrough, and then there's the third and fourth, additions to it. So I don't know if by finished it you mean he finished just the first playthrough or if he finished all of them.
It might just be the first one. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Because that first one, the thing about the story is relatively, like, whenever you're talking about like the first playthrough from the beginning to whenever the credits roll the first time, hour-wise, you can finish that pretty quick.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of side quests that you'll be stopped by. So if you don't do any side quests at all, you can run through it pretty quick. But there is some side quests that you will do that, give you, because you're trying to get these, you're trying to get
The
like
Chaos Emeralds.
you're trying to
right?
get like chaos emeralds. You're trying to get like gold and stuff, and you need to get certain items to upgrade your weapons. And if you don't upgrade your weapons, the game is just going to be harder. So you get some of these items or a lot of this gold that you would normally get. You can get just by killing a lot of enemies, but you can get it a lot quicker by doing side quests. So you don't have to do any of the side quests, but you'll be tempted to do them because you want to upgrade your weapons
Right.
to face stronger bosses. So,
That's my thing
yeah.
with, I guess, any kind of open world game like that, where it's you want to get through the story, but it's like, man, I got to upgrade everything, so I want to do these side quests.
Yeah.
Like Horizon, I'm starting to feel like, I feel a little underpowered. I need to do a lot of these side quests, and the side quests are great they're great so far.
The
with
thing
Horizon,
is,
but-
if there wasn't side quests and the game was actually as quick as you could run through the story,
Yeah.
I would be a little disappointed on how short the story was.
yeah,
So I think they do add
add a little.
a little bit of substance to it.
Well, if you ever finish it, or once you finish it, once I play it or finish it, and
Mhm.
I don't know how far Rex is, because I talked to Rex about it. I'd like me and
Yeah.
him to do an official blowout, and Austin Guttery as well,
Yeah.
to do an official blowout network podcast for that.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the game. I'd love to talk about it
Yeah.
again. I'd love to like dedicate a good chunk to it.
Mhm. It's tough though. There's so much stuff to do.
There's a lot of stuff to do, but like I said, everything about the game, I mean, even despite that map thing that I was talking about earlier about the world just not looking great, or not looking wonderful. I would have class in the morning, and and I would be up till like 4:00 in the morning playing that game. It is very addicting. You sit down, and I was playing it on my PC, but I had my Xbox controller hooked up. And you would start hacking and slashing robots, and you don't even realize how much time you're wasting. It is definitely a wonderful game. You don't even realize how much time you're spending in it until you look at the clock. But that one, just the map thing is my biggest gripe, but that is no reason to not experience, what the game has to bring. It is definitely a wonderful game. Definitely very fun, good story. Very, very JRPG story. So, I mean, it is a little bit weird.
Yeah, very Japanese, very
It is
existential.
It is a little bit weird of a story, kind of, in some parts, not all parts. Some parts are a big shock, but some of it's kind of predictable. And then even if you didn't predict it happening, when you hear it, you're like, that is totally anime,
Yeah.
like, so it is very JRPG, but if you're into that kind of, it's not very an RPG style game, but like the story is like that. And if you're into that kind of stuff, it is definitely a good story for you to experience. Even if you're not into that, it's made by the same people that did Bayonetta.
Yeah.
So I mean, the combat is just beautiful, fluent. The combos that you can pull are crazy looking, and then you can have a main weapon and a secondary weapon equipped, and you can even switch those weapons. So depending on which weapons you have equipped, and depending on which order you have them equipped, you'll have different combos for each one. So it's really fun to grab all the different weapons and kind of experiment with those different combos and see which ones you like. I like running, the big. I actually like the starter weapons that you end up starting out with. I think their combos are really cool, but then you end up getting some spears in there that add some more flair to some of the combos that you do. And there's all these different kinds of swords and, like brass knuckle type weapons that you end up getting that add these different combos. And like I said, you get to play as 2B at the very beginning of the game. That's your main, the main android that you play as. And then the second time through, you play as 9S. And then the third time through, you get to play as some android. I can't remember her name, but it's like A something. And each one of those characters has different abilities. So you learn these combos for one character. And by the time you feel like you actually have them fully down, you play as a new character. And all their combos are different than the previous characters. So it keeps things fresh, kind of. And I appreciate that. You don't just get too used to combos and start getting tired with them. You start playing as a new character now, and 9S, instead of just brute force, he's some kind of intelligence.
It's like a hacker,
android.
right?
He's a hacker,
Hacks into
and
the,
so
other ones.
as 2B, you have a light attack and a heavy attack. As 9S, you have a light attack, and then your heavy attack button is actually hacking. So you you light attack, and then you would hack something, and then it takes you into like a bunch of like different mini games depending on what you're trying to hack. And they differ sometimes, but a lot of times it's just like top down kind of mini game where you're trying to shoot a bunch of black like cubes around and like destroy them before they kill you. And then if you complete it successfully, if it's an enemy, it'll damage them a lot. If it's a door, you can open the door that you and there's some doors that you can't open the first playthrough that you can only open the second playthrough when you're him, and you have to hack the doors open, and you get weapons that way. Sometimes there's weapons locked in like chests that you couldn't get originally. So I think that's a fun thing to keep you around. You play through, you see these chests, and you're like, how do I open these? Then you play through the second time, and you're like, this is how I open it. Now I got to go find out what's in that chest.
It's PS4 and PC, right?
PS4 and PC are the two consoles I believe it's on. Yes.
Well, I guess PC isn't a console, but yeah.
I mean, Steam.
Now that I'm a PC Master Racer guy, I gotta correct you.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
no. So it is on Steam and PS4. I don't believe it's on Xbox.
No.
So
I don't think it would sell on Xbox. It's very Japanese.
Yeah, no. So Steam and PS4. That's the two systems you can get it on.
Well, let's get into some news. Thanks for that, Austin.
No worries.
I'm interested in the game, so go check that game out. Maybe we'll have something in the future about it. We'll get into some news. And let's go through some of this quickly since we're already at almost the 40-minute mark. We can go as long as we want. I just probably going to stop at some point. So let's get into some news. We'll kind of blow through these quickly. So Nintendo is reportedly developing a Zelda mobile game, kind of in the same, Lou, as Mario Run, and I guess they're doing an Animal Crossing and Fire Emblem game as well. And so I guess they're going to do a Zelda game now with the success of Breath of the Wild. I guess this they're with their partnership with DNA. I guess they promised they would launch 5 mobile games by March 2017. However, only 3 came to fruition: Miitomo, Super Mario Run, Fire Emblem Heroes. So I guess not much on what it's going to be, but new Zelda title for this mobile game.
So like, on the iTunes store, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, talking to the mic a little bit. You're kind of
sorry.
It's
one of those things where I would be, I've always just been sitting somewhere, and now that the Switch is out, you
got that Switch.
You can carry that around wherever you want.
Switch.
But beforehand, I would always sit there in class, or sit somewhere, and I'd be like, I wish I could play a video game, but you don't want to play like solitaire sometimes or Words with Friends. And I would always be like, I'm really itching to play a Zelda game. And then you got to go on the iTunes store and get disappointed by the fact that there's not a game there. So you pick some rip-off game that's on there. So I'm excited to see where they could take this. But I'm concerned on where it could be taken because limiting processing power.
I'm not that concerned because it's not like they're going to...
I don't think they're going to screw anything up.
I mean, and also it's not like they're making this game instead of Breath of the Wild 2 or a top-down Zelda. They're just going to make this game.
I was about to say, no, I'm definitely nothing but excited for it. I want to see where they can take it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get my hopes too high for a mobile game,
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to mobile games having like very tough to control.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a whole lot of control you can implement that's going to be like what we're used to. And so I definitely want to keep my eyes open for it. I just don't want to be let down. But Nintendo doesn't disappoint a whole lot, so I'm excited to see what they bring.
So Destiny 2, I guess there was a big event today with Destiny.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was some big event. I think it was in LA. I know a lot of people were out there. Destiny 2 event. There was a gameplay trailer revealed today and a whole bunch of information. I maybe want to get Hunter Swenson on maybe in 2 weeks to talk about this more because he's more of a Destiny guy. Are you a Destiny? Oh, wait, you are a Destiny guy.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I played Destiny.
All right, so what do you think about, have you looked at any of the new news information at all?
I have not looked at a whole lot of the news. recently I haven't had a lot of money to pre-order it, so I haven't been following up because I don't
Yeah.
want to like make myself
Right.
like if I keep following the news, I'm gonna
you
end
don't
up
want to get too hyped up.
I'm gonna end up spending money I don't have to spend on a
Mhm.
game, like
Yeah.
but I definitely really want Destiny 2. I wasn't, Aaron, if anyone, is someone you should bring on. Like
Okay.
he was actually ranked like on
Yeah.
PS4 Destiny, like but um I love Destiny. It was a fun game. I was never super clear about like how all the lore worked.
Yeah, I hear it was kind of sparse as far as
It
those
very
story
was.
went.
It very much was. But I definitely think it's a fun game. I'm gonna get Destiny 2
Yeah.
when it comes out. I do want to pre-order it. I just need to get a small amount of income together before I do that.
Sure.
But I didn't hear anything about it today though. I didn't
Yeah,
hear
there
about.
was a big event today.
Okay, I did see the
There's a whole lot of information as well.
I did see the big premiere trailer
Yeah.
they had come out, and they had the two different ones
With
like,
Nathan Fillion and I think Senate and
Yeah.
so is
and
Yeah.
those were really, if you haven't seen them, real kind of powerful trailers. They were
Mhm.
kind of funny too. I think they did a real good job
I don't know
making
if they're
it.
that funny. They were kind of generic in a way. I don't know. I didn't
Yeah,
find them that funny.
I could see what you're saying, but
But yeah, if you want to,
they did take a more comedic role to it.
Sure.
They didn't try to make it seem like it was going to be the biggest release of the year. And
Yeah.
I think that was a good job. Kind of just, it was almost like a gingerly released.
Mhm.
People knew it was coming,
Yeah.
but like when and I think it was the hype that made that so powerful.
Sure. So if you want to learn more about Destiny 2, there's an article on Kotaku, everything
Mhm.
by Jason Schreier, everything we learned today about Destiny 2.
Okay, and you said they did the gameplay trailer.
Yeah, there's a new gameplay trailer.
I'm also stoked about Destiny 2 and a little disappointed, but more stoked that they are completely like dropping. You don't get to carry your gear over, and I think that's going to be a huge thing for people wanting
but
to
it's
come into
kind of
Destiny.
Yeah, it's a blank slate.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a huge thing for people who never really got Destiny, or even people who bought Destiny. And I bought it late, so a lot of people already had a lot of good stuff before, and then I got in and I had nothing, and then I had to build myself up. Well, by the time you build yourself up, everyone's already got all this new
Yeah.
stuff. So I think it'll be a good thing for people who either never got Destiny or got it and then weren't super into it or were behind at
Yeah.
the time. And now they can start on a blank slate with Destiny 2, where they can buy it and they can be part of the hype, and then they can follow suit and play the game, but they don't have to feel like they're being punished for not, putting hours and hours and hours into Destiny 1. But at the same time, there are people who put hours and hours and hours into Destiny 1, or just Destiny, and aren't getting
But they
rewarded
could
for
still
that.
play Destiny 1.
Yeah.
That's not going to, they're not going to close those servers.
You're not getting super rewarded for putting that much time into it, other than your appearance, but which is cool.
Mhm.
But as bad as it kind of sucks for those people, I think Destiny has made a smarter move by not allowing gear to be transferred over, so that people. I mean, because
Yeah, it's gonna allow new people who haven't played or just
Mhm.
missed it, and they want to get into it, and if they did that, it would alienate new users. Because I know for me, I don't I think those games look cool, but I never play them. And usually before, like The Division, like that's a game I kind of wanted to play through, but it's like, well, I'm too late on that.
Yeah.
You can't really go into it, and
Yeah. Well, and another thing is, you don't want people getting Destiny 2 who played a lot of Destiny 1 and then not enjoying Destiny 2 because their gear's too powerful and the game's too easy now. But you can't make the bosses too hard, because people who just get into it, bosses or enemies, if they're too powerful when they just start, it's no fun because they can't beat it because they don't have gear for it.
Yeah.
But if someone, if someone has gear that is crazy good, and they get into the game and it's all level 1 enemies, then it's not fun. You just pop them one shot. It just seems like it was the right move to do.
Yeah. So Ubisoft had a big conference call thing earlier, and a whole bunch of games have been announced and talked about. So I guess Far Cry 5 is happening. They released a logo. It's a white logo with a little blue and red tint. It's happening. I guess there was rumors that it was going to be a Western setting, but I don't think that's the case. I think on the call they said it's not a Western. That was just a hoax. So I guess Far Cry, Ubisoft announced the existence of the oft-rumored open-world shooter during its financial report. It may have a Western setting as speculated weeks prior, but I don't think it does. Also announced was a new Assassin's Creed game. We already kind of talked about Assassin's Creed Origins. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be set in Egypt. The setting and gameplay, that's a mix of what we've seen in the past Assassin's Creed games and Skyrim. I guess it's going to be more open world. Okay. Way more open world than, before, okay. Which may not be the best thing. Also, The Crew 2 has been announced. And also, South Park: The Fractured But Whole, that's going to be released in October, I want to say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ubisoft has a big lineup. They say they want to get this stuff out before March 12th. So I say you see Assassin's Creed, and I don't know if they would put Assassin's Creed and
what are your concerns with Assassin's Creed's bigger open world setting?
I don't have much concerns, I think maybe we have too many open world games in general, and also in a post Breath of the Wild world, it's every game's going to be judged on Breath of the Wild and Horizon for that matter.
Yeah, there's even some other open world games that'll be judged on, but I think Ubisoft can pull it off. It's not so much the open world aspect that I would be stoked for.
Assassin's Creed has always been open world, but they want to make it more open world.
Assassin's Creed has gotten very stagnant over the years. And I think this Egyptian take on it might bring something very new. Mm-hmm. It could be big old flop, but I really doubt it. I really think this Egyptian take on it could be something new. Now, we have to go back to that Far Cry. I haven't played every single Far Cry game. I didn't play the original. I didn't play much of 3.
I think people like that. The 3 was the big one,
I didn't play a whole lot of 3, but I played the ever-loving duty out of Blood Dragon.
No, Blood Dragon. Okay, yeah.
No, and 4. Oh, yeah. Okay. I was about to get to that.
Yeah.
I played a lot of 2 too. I didn't beat 2, but I played a lot of Far Cry 2. That was a controversial one, but I really enjoyed it.
A lot of people really championed that game. A lot of people really love that game.
And it's a split market. A lot of people really did not like 2 for some reason.
Yeah.
But back whenever I got my PS3, it was one of the first games I got on it.
3 was the one that
2 was. And a lot of people didn't like 2. And I didn't get it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. But I didn't play a whole lot of 3. I played a lot of Blood Dragon. Back on my Xbox, and
YouTube.com.
And that was a good video though.
No, don't worry about it.
And I got over this last summer, me and Aaron both bought Far Cry 4 on our Steam accounts, and I played. That entire time, I played so much Far Cry 4. I put more. It's not like. I think out of my Steam account, I have something like 350 hours on Counter-Strike, and then the second most time I've spent on any game was Far Cry 4. Just because even if you're not playing the story or doing side missions, it's just so much fun to get in that game and just stick around. But I think that's kind of how my order goes in my Steam library. It's got something near an insane amount of hours on Counter-Strike, and then Far Cry 4, and then all other games follow suit. So. But I am super stoked about Far Cry 5. I don't think they've ever really made a bad Far Cry game, and I'm excited to see where they take it.
Far Cry Primal was really good.
Well,
that was a very popular game.
I never got to play Primal, but I watched a lot of Twitch streams of Primal, and
those games are just really fun.
They've done a real good job of. They always call it Far Cry, but every story is so different that it's almost like playing. It is playing a brand new experience.
Yeah,
every single time.
it's sort of the crazy physics and combat and
it's
crazy
always,
stuff you can do.
It's always called Far Cry, but it's almost like a brand new game every single time, and that's what keeps it interesting. Is that not one really is a sequel of the other. They're all different. They all
No, that's
and they
probably the
all
way to go.
Yeah, and
with
that,
yeah.
and I think that's what makes it so great is that you may have played hours and hours and maybe even 100 hours on Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 3. You go pick up Far Cry 5, it's not Far Cry 3, point
Yeah.
5. It is a brand new game.
Which maybe
new
they
character.
shouldn't give them the numbers anymore. You would think. Because when you say Far Cry 5, you're like, oh, do I have to play the other ones? Well, no. You just
No. It doesn't even follow the same characters. No. I don't think most of the time. I know Far Cry 4 doesn't follow the same characters, anything. I know Far Cry 2 didn't. I don't know. I know both Far Cry 1 and 3 were island-based, so
I don't think it's the same people.
They don't follow the same characters?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so
my limited knowledge of it, I don't think so.
I know 2 and I know 4 and I know Blood Dragon, but obviously Rex Power Cult has nothing to do with the previous games. No. And if so, I want to play that one. But it is they don't follow the same character, so it is always new.
Yeah,
and I think that's what I love about those games so much.
So yeah, also Fractured But Whole. I'm trying to see. I think it's October.
I heard that was going to be a good one. I'm
did
excited.
Did you ever play Stick of Truth?
I didn't play Stick of Truth. But I heard it was a good game, and I do want to go play Fractured But Whole. But I want to get Stick of Truth. They have Steam deals going on all the time for that game, so I want to go get it. But I've just been hesitant on pulling the trigger on it because
it's a good one. It's really good. I played that.
I heard it was really funny.
It's really funny. It's just like a South Park episode. It really is. Might be the funniest game, one of the funniest games I've ever played. But that's kind of unfair because it's South Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess the Witcher development team, The Witcher is being made into a TV show.
They are. I saw that.
But the thing, here's the kicker, is that CD Projekt Red is not involved. It's actually a deal between the author of the books and Netflix. So CD Projekt Red is not involved with the project.
It can be a little bit disappointing, but then again, also the games are based off books. Why is it that?
Well, I guess the writer of the books kind of just sold the rights the people of CD Projekt Red have the rights, but the
games. What you're saying is the games don't actually follow the books very closely.
I want to say I heard this on another podcast. They're credible, huh?
I've never read them, but
no, I've not either. They're really popular in Poland. That's kind of where.
That seems for some reason.
Well, CD Projekt Red is in Poland. So.
Okay. So what you're saying is
the games are based on sort of what happens after the books. I hear.
Okay.
And some short stories.
But I've actually it's funny you mentioned that today, but and then maybe it's not because maybe it was released today. But I was scrolling through Netflix today and actually saw that The Witcher was coming to Netflix.
Oh, really?
And that was like today, almost relatively before you reminded me I had to come on this podcast.
Yeah.
I was scrolling through and I saw that The Witcher was coming to Netflix, and I thought it was going to be live action, and then I was looking at it, and I noticed that they're going to be doing like CGI for it, and I didn't know CD Projekt Red wasn't involved.
I think the people who made like the trailers or some of like the opening cutscenes, I think they're involved.
Okay.
And making the making it animated.
That in itself would be interesting. Either way,
I kind of would prefer that in a way, just because I think anything you do now with the medieval, kind of tint to it is going to be compared to Game of Thrones. Anything you do nowadays.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is I own. I think I own like all the Witcher games. I own them all, but I don't own Witcher 3, but. I own every other Witcher game, and I have played with The Witcher 3.
I'll give you Witcher 3 on PS4, because I bought that on Steam.
But what I was about to say is I have never played other than The Witcher 3 for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah, same here.
I own The Witcher 1. I own The Witcher 2. I've played the intro to The Witcher 1 back when I had a crappy laptop, so I didn't really get far in it. And then I bought The Witcher 2 recently because it was on sale for $3 or $4.
Yeah.
And I started playing the intro to The Witcher 2, and then you were over that night.
Yeah.
And then we had to go somewhere, so I just stopped playing it. And then I told myself when I got back I'd play more of it, and I just forgot. So it was one of those things where it's like I own The Witcher 1, I own The Witcher 2, and I have, a couple buddies that own The Witcher 3, and I've played about 20 minutes of that too. So I played collectively 60 minutes of all 3 Witcher games, but I've never really gotten in depth on the story, so I
Okay.
don't know a whole lot about it. But I do know for a fact that it has a very rich world.
Yeah.
A lot of story behind it, a lot of lore. So while I don't know a whole lot about the lore, the story, or the world, I am very excited to see what they do with the show. I don't know what to expect about it. But I'm very excited to see what they do with it. Because I know they have a lot that they could work off of.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it will be interesting to see if anything comes with it
Mhm.
because a lot of times these stories come and they just kind of disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope it's something that is done very well because I think it could be done very
and
well.
Since it's kind of based off the books, I think it has a better chance than just the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like there's it's
The game
so
was made to be a
difficult.
game.
Yeah,
The game was made to be a game, and it was a way to extend the story. But I think maybe, especially if you were saying that the people who worked on the cinematics are working on it, I think that plus storytelling from the books, I think can be evolved into a very wonderful show.
Sure.
But like you were saying, the game was, or like I was saying, based off what you were saying, the game was made to be a game. It was made to have fun gameplay. But I think maybe working with the books is going to be able to bring out a lot more lore in a television type fashion.
Sure. And I do think the first successful video game adaptation on screen will be a TV show because I think video games have more in common with TV shows than they do movies.
Speaking of really, I don't know if you want to move on to a new topic, but I was about to say, speaking of shows that are coming out that I am really stoked and have seen the first, pilot episode of, American Gods on Stars.
Yeah, I haven't. I've seen a bunch of trailers for that, but
I don't know if you've ever read the book.
No.
And it's by me saying this, I'm gonna sound like I start a lot of stuff and stop it because I do. But I own American Gods and the Anansi Boys, the books. I love Neil Gaiman. He's one of my favorite writers. Great, graphic novel and comic book writer. Great, just book writer.
Good dude. Good dude.
If you haven't read any of his books, the one I have finished by him, one I can wholly recommend is Good Omens, one of my favorite books, I think of all time. And it's just a wonderful book. It's funny. It's a good, tale and big epic kind of like saga type tale. And he's real comedic with his writing. He's very dark, but he's also very comedic. It's a weird mixture, but American Gods is a wonderful book too. I own it. I have gotten about like a third of the way through it, like 4 different times, and then I always stop. So I keep having to restart, and then I keep having to restart, and I keep having to restart, and I get about a third of the way through it, and then stop. And so I know about a third of the story. Let's be. Stars recently came up with that new. They're making a show out of it, and I was super excited to see that. One of my good buddies, Austin, pointed me towards the show.
Another Austin.
Same Austin character.
Yeah.
And he's a big Neil Gaiman fan as a creative writing major, and he pointed me towards the American God show. And obviously, even if he hadn't pointed towards me, I probably would have found it and watched it. But I'm glad he did point it towards me because they've done a pretty good job. So far, they might have more than one episode out, but I've only seen the first one, the pilot episode, and it is pretty good. It's actually really good. They took a weird direction in the way it's filmed. It's not most of it's realistic, but then there's a few parts where you're like, this is kind of cartoony, kind of like childish, but then you almost kind of have to think about it in the light that's kind of how Neil Gaiman writes. So they almost did a wonderful job capturing the way Neil Gaiman writes in film. And I think that is almost what made me overlook that and almost even like it more. And I just think if you are into either Neil Gaiman's writing or if you're just interested in looking into a new show, American Gods on Stars is a wonderful show.
Well, there you go. So, want to do a few more numbers, and we'll be done with news, just sort of sales, I guess. Switch is the best-selling console in April, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the number one game. So Switch is doing really well. That Nintendo Switch rocking it. You gonna get a Switch soon?
Right after I don't have enough money to buy Destiny 2. Why would I have enough for a Switch?
I don't know, man. Get some money. Start doing
I
things for
know.
money.
Yeah, that's
That's what you gotta do.
questionable things.
Questionable things for money for a Switch.
Oh man, I'm just trying to buy a Switch.
Dude, I'm just trying to get a Switch,
I'm
man.
just trying to get my Switch.
You know. I guess some other figures came out. I guess the top 10 best-selling games in April are Mario Kart 8, Persona 5. Have you been playing Persona at all?
I have not, but you were telling me about that.
Mhm.
Someone else was telling me about it, and they were saying that it's really good.
Yeah, JRPG, really good game.
Uh,
Breath of the Wild, MLB The Show, Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, Grand Theft Auto 5. That's still on the list. And this
can't
is
believe
all
that.
physical sales, not digital.
I
also.
can't believe that.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto 5 is still $60 on Steam.
Yeah.
It's $60.
It's selling.
Is it still $60 in GameStop?
It might be. Probably cheaper there. Mass Effect Andromeda, NBA 2K17, Overwatch, Call of Duty, Black Ops 2. I also have the list of
Black Ops 2?
2017. Yeah.
You say Black Ops?
Black Ops 2. Yeah, the remaster one.
Oh, no. Not remastered. Modern Warfare was remastered.
Maybe I'm
Black
reading
Ops
it wrong.
2 is just old.
So hold on, let me find the.
I'm surprised Overwatch is so down on the list.
Well, that's just April, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's also digital, so most people are playing that on PC.
Yeah,
Or
true.
that's just physical, so most people are playing it on PC.
It is
Yeah.
a much more a PC oriented kind of.
So as far as 2017, I guess this is top selling games. I don't know if it says it's the indie. I think this is just physical. So top selling games in 2017 so far are Ghost Recon, For Honor. That's two weird ones.
I heard For Honor was really, really fun for like the first 4 hours you play it, and then you feel like you wasted $60.
I could see people buying that because they think it's just a hack and slash.
I really wanted to get it, and then I realized there's not a whole lot of substance to it.
I hear it's actually a
than...
deep combat, but
Oh yeah, the combat looks amazing.
Yeah.
The combat mechanics look amazing, and they're so in depth and so. I guess the old easy to learn, very, very hard to master kind of like combat mechanics. They look like if they were applied to a game that wasn't just like, it's a very online, hack and slash kind of type battle arena game, and the combat mechanics themselves make it a wonderful game. I would assume. I've never used them, but it just seems like since it's, I think, all online, I don't think there's any story to it.
I think there actually is a story. There is a story.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong then. Maybe there is more to it. But I have heard, but then again, I open my Xbox every once in a while, and I have a few buddies on there who, are always playing it.
Mhm.
And then I have a few buddies who I've talked to that have bought it and don't play it anymore. They bought it and they don't play it anymore. And so I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that they don't like the game anymore, or if they just finished it really early, or I don't know.
So Ghost Recon, For Honor, Zelda, Horizon, Mass Effect. I hear Mass Effect was a
I got
a
mixed
stinker.
reviews on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 7, Grand Theft Auto 5, NBA 2K17, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and MLB The Show. That's so far in 2017. So maybe I meant to say Infinite Warfare, not Modern Warfare earlier. So
Wait,
yeah, I mean that's
Infinite
good.
Warfare is on there?
Yeah. I guess
You
Zelda's
said Black Ops 2 earlier.
I said Black Ops 2?
Yeah.
Let me look at that story. Let's see what I was doing there.
Well-
It says Call of Duty Black Ops 2, yeah.
I was about to say, so I guarantee you the reason I heard Infinite Warfare was a stinking pile of duty. So, I mean, I guarantee you the reason the sales are so high on Infinite Warfare is because Modern Warfare Remastered comes with it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's been bought so much. But I'm surprised to hear that in April, Black Ops 2 sales were that high. Maybe it's because of zombies. I don't know.
I don't know. That's
Or maybe it was on sale. I don't know. But Black Ops 2 is a good game. I really enjoyed Black Ops 2. I think Black Ops 2 is when Call of Duty started to go to. I mean, after
Yeah,
Black Ops 2 is when it
Modern
started
Warfare,
to
right?
go.
That was the big one.
Black
right?
Ops
Wasn't
2
that the one that
was
kind
the
of changed
last
the game?
good Call of Duty game.
Okay.
Even Black Ops 2 wasn't the best Call of Duty game, but its zombies was super fun. But around that Black Ops 2 era was when Call of Duty started to go to all hell and back. And you know, hopefully with this new Call of Duty World War II game, have you seen the trailers on this?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. What do you think about the World War II one?
You know, I was about to say, ever since Modern Warfare and Black Ops, I haven't picked up a Call of Duty game, and I used to be a huge Call of Duty fan.
Mhm.
Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 2. I never played past Black Ops 2. But I used to be a huge Call of Duty fan before that, and I just kind of thought like Modern Warfare 3 and Infinite Warfare and what's the one that came out? Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
I just think they all look so.
They're trying to be
It's like a Titanfall
they're trying
clone.
to be Halo and Titanfall.
It's a Titanfall clone, and don't get me wrong, I love Titanfall.
But Titanfall's Titanfall. You know,
Yeah,
it's just
I have Titanfall 2. I play Titanfall 2 on my PC all the time, just kind of as a time waster, and I'm not real serious about it. But I love Titanfall 2, and I love.
I got
Titanfall.
like $20 on PS4.
And it is definitely a real fun game, but it's Titanfall. Like that's what that game is. You know, Call of Duty can't just come out with like Infinite Warfare and be like, "This is Titanfall." You know, but
I want to say I'm excited for
I
World War
really,
II, but I don't.
I
can't get into
really,
it.
really hope World War II, because Call of Duty, before it sold out and made a game every year and became real lame, it was a good game series. It
Mhm.
really was. It was a good game title. And I mean, even if you go look back at like Modern Warfare, you know, back before
Now,
stories,
you know, that is a little unfair because they have three. Well, it's not necessarily correct because they have three different studios
They do.
making games. So they have a 3-year, I guess, cycle. You know.
Yeah, but that
So,
was
like,
that was
Treyarch has 2
Activision. That was
years to-
Activision's problem to figure
Yeah,
out.
but that's not necessarily a good thing though. You're having 3 studios making
Yeah.
one title.
The point being, I hope World War II returns Call of Duty to its roots,
Mm-hmm.
because
Roots.
it's roots. It's roots. That's so funny. Because if it can return it to like its old style gameplay, I mean new gameplay, but return Call of Duty to its roots, then I think it can be a very successful game. Kind of very much Battlefield 1 successful.
Oh yeah.
But then again, looking back on Call of Duty's track record within the past few years, it could also be a complete bomb. But I'm not leaning towards that side. I'm leaning towards World War II will return us to that Call of Duty 2, Call of Duty 3 type feel, Call of Duty World at War type feel, and I hope that that will benefit them in the future. When that game comes out, I think I'm leaning more towards it being a good game. It looks good, and I'm excited for it. I'm not gonna pre-order it. I'm not gonna pick it up immediately. I'm gonna wait for it to come out, see how it does, and then I'm gonna pick it up. But if it is good, like I expect it to be, hopefully, I don't see any reason why I won't spend way too much time on it and not enough time on schoolwork. You know.
Yeah.
It looks beautiful though, because I know a lot of those trailers that came out were in game, and it looks beautiful.
Mhm.
So I'm excited to see what they do with it.
I guess right now we can get into kind of maybe the short topic. We'll shorten this topic since we're kind of getting up against it, and we also have some Twitter questions. Maybe we can just a couple we can answer.
Okay.
So yeah, let's. So I kind of want to get into the topic we kind of talked about earlier, just because I feel like we do play and watch a lot of the same things. But I was kind of wanting to see kind of where, you started playing video games. What was like your first console? What was your first video game, as a kid? And kind of your history, I guess.
All right. My video gaming went back to when I was real young. I still have it. I owned a translucent purple Game Boy Color.
Mhm.
And I played and failed at playing way too much Frogger. And played a lot of Pokemon Red. Was absolutely that was one of my first games. I played a lot of it, but back then like I didn't know what I was doing a whole lot. So I caught Pokemon, and I think recently for some reason I found it in my room, and I was a young kid, so I thought I was doing a lot better than I was. But I found myself, still at like the third gym or whatever, and I had a bunch of level 6 Pokemon, a couple higher levels. Like I think my starter is the only one I leveled up. But it was kind of fun to see, what progress I had made back then. And then shortly after that, I think my first system was some Christmas a long, long time ago. My dad bought me the N64. And
so N64 was your first?
It was my first actual console. And Mario Kart.
What year was that?
A long, long time ago.
Okay.
I don't know the exact year. I think it was fairly recently after the N64 had come out.
Okay.
And I don't think I...
So how old were you? Because I think I was about 7 or 8.
I honestly...
when that came out, so...
I think I was honestly probably... I think I was like in first or second grade. So young when it came out. And
so maybe I was kind of wrong about because I was thinking maybe because I know Austin Engler, Guttery GameCube was his first console.
Really? Okay, yeah. No, I had an N64, and I was, because it was so long ago, it's kind of hard to remember.
Sure,
how old I was.
And it's weird because I think time also goes by a lot faster. Because like I was thinking like, oh yeah, I remember the N64, but you only had like certain. It felt a lot like I played a lot more stuff, and I had it for a lot longer than I really did.
Yeah,
because just time goes by so slow back then. Where
so
you feel
I know back then, my game, the first game I got on that was Mario Kart, Mario Kart 64, and that I remember getting it that day. I opened it up, and I think I had known what the N64 was, but I didn't really know much about it. My dad just knew I liked video games, and so he bought it for me, and he bought me Mario Kart 64.
Shut up, let me drink.
And so I opened. It's funny. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember almost, picture by picture, opening it up. We set it up in the living room, and he played Mario Kart with me for, and he didn't like video games or anything, but he played Mario Kart with me for hours, and I think that was so much fun. And other games I played on there, I picked up, I had, Super Mario, Super Mario 64,
yeah.
And I played a lot of that. And I also had like Ocarina of Time, and the same thing with that whole Pokemon story, I played a lot of Ocarina of Time, but I don't think I ever got really far in it because I think I was like young enough at that point where it's like I thought I was doing cool stuff.
You thought you got the 3, things,
and I did get that
done.
far, but
yeah.
I think I was young enough at that point where it's like I was running around just hacking and slashing enemies, and I thought I was like playing the game, but I never got like super far in it. I think as far as I got was like to the first. I think I got to like the Fire Temple, and that's about as far as I ever got.
I think that might have been me too, honestly.
Yeah, because I still have my N64, and I still have my Ocarina of Time, and I still have all those games, and I recently also plugged that in, and I was like, wow, I didn't get nearly as far as I thought I got, because I remember fighting Ganondorf at the very end, and so I was like, oh, I beat the game. But then I also went back and looked at it recently, and I was like, no, I was playing the save file of someone else, because I bought it used. I was playing someone else's save file, and they had saved right before Ganondorf, so I fought Ganondorf a ton of times, but I was playing on someone else's save file, and my actual save file, I didn't get that far, but Ocarina of Time and then Majora's Mask I bought quite a few years later, but I bought it. But if we're talking, what really, really got me into gaming, it is Zelda. Zelda is hands down, has always been. Even if I didn't know what I was doing in Ocarina of Time, I loved the game, and that went on to a love for Zelda that when I got my GameCube, I played. I was older at the time, and I played all the way through the Wind Waker.
Careful.
Played, and I loved, and I still think the Wind Waker. I think there's something nostalgic because I think it was one of the first Zelda games I actually started and beat.
Yeah.
So I think there's something nostalgic about it, but I also still.
That was a game it was 7th grade I played that game. No, that was one of my favorite games.
And I was about
ever.
to say,
it still is.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Well, I think the reason I love it so much is maybe a little bit of nostalgia. I can also say that I think it stacks up as one of the best Zelda games.
Yeah.
And also Twilight Princess. I played through Twilight Princess, and I thought that was a wonderful game. I thought it was a lot of fun. And Link has always just kind of been, one of my favorite Nintendo characters. Despite the fact that he might not have quite as big of a following as some of the others.
He's not a well-developed character.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the game worlds that they end up building around him are just so beautiful in every one of these. So I think honestly, The Legend of Zelda is one of the. So if we're talking about all the systems I've gone through, I went through an N64, and then I got a GameCube, and then I got a Wii, and then. Eventually, I had never really had, so mainly Nintendo games. I was a big Nintendo junkie in my early years.
You seem like you and me kind of had a similar path, because I was definitely all for Nintendo up until middle school.
And then I got a PS3, and I was like, wow, this online Call of Duty gaming is the coolest thing ever. And, it's never turned back. It's one of those things where I love playing online shooters now. But if you put a good story-based or a good Nintendo game in front of me, I'm gonna play that. So I really want one. No, but when I got another one of my favorite series is obviously the Fallout series. I bought my PS3 back in I think late middle school, early high school.
What year was that?
I got it back in 2008, right when Fallout 3 had come out. So, I remember that because
it was my first year at UNT, 2000.
I was about to say, I remember buying my PS3 and then Fallout 3 had just come out, and I was in the GameStop buying the PS3, and I was like, okay, well now I have this PS3. I don't even know, because I had been playing nothing but Nintendo, so I didn't know what there was out there that was good. I had no clue what PlayStation games that were out there that were cool, and the guy at the GameStop's like, well, this game just came out, it's Fallout 3, and I was like, give it a try, it's cool, and he's like, yeah, it's nuclear, and I was like, okay, this sounds fun. I platinumed it. I played that thing I think I played Fallout 3 for months, and I didn't just I didn't just play through it, I played through it with good karma, and then I played through it with neutral karma, and I did the whole let's save right before I become level 28. Let me go ahead and put a save file, and that way I can go sit there and just kill a bunch of people and get bad karma, and then so I platinumed Fallout 3, and I think out of all the games I owned on PS3, I platinumed 3 games. I don't remember what the third one was, but Fallout 3 was one of them, and then Burnout Paradise was one of them. And I loved Burnout Paradise because it was just a crazy fun arcade driving game. But I've got Fallout 4. I actually never beat Fallout 4.
I platinum Fallout 4.
I never beat Fallout 4 because I bought Fallout 4 the night it came out.
Yeah.
And then me and Robert, one of my good friends from, I don't know if you ever met him, but one of my really good friends from high school was living with me at the time over there at U Center, and you probably met him.
I don't think so. I've
we
only
both
met
bought
Austin.
Fallout 4. We lived on opposite sides of the apartment. We both bought Fallout 4, and then the night we bought it, I had school the next morning, and I said, you know what? No school. And we both got our PlayStations, got our Xbox One set up, put in the Fallout 4 disc, and Richard and Santiago got so angry because that whole night we were just playing, and then when something really interesting happened, we would yell to each other's rooms did you just do this? And he's like, no, I haven't gotten there, shut up. And so it was a crazy experience, really fun, but we got almost to the end of the game in a few days, and then I never ever knew what to do because I didn't know who to side with. So I never beat Fallout 4, but that's not because of a lack of wanting to beat it. It's because of a lack of wanting to make the wrong decision, I guess.
You can always do the save and just do all
yeah,
three.
Exactly.
Because I did that.
I'm talking I did 2 months of that. I did that for Fallout 3, and I just didn't want to get pulled into that again for Fallout 4.
The institution was I didn't feel morally right to choose the institution.
I almost thought that was the moral one, but like you were not given enough information to make.
Yeah,
that.
I can kind of agree with
When
you.
you talk to the institution, they don't sound bad, but when you talk to other people, they sound horrible. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know. So I never beat it.
And I feel like the railroad, because the
wanna go
railroad
back and
and
beat it.
yeah, you should.
I want to go back and beat it, but I've just never gotten around to making my decision on who I want to choose. But so
I think with the Brotherhood, you get the best weapons and armor at the end.
I didn't like.
You don't like the Brotherhood.
I loved the Brotherhood in Fallout 3 because
3
they
they're a
were
lot
the good
better.
guys.
Yeah. This one, they're a little more
They're
like
assholes.
macho. Yeah,
They're
assholes.
and they don't seem like the good guys. They seem more like mercenaries.
Yeah.
And so, but so I owned mainly Nintendo up to the Wii, and then I got my PS3, and then I played a lot of Fallout. I played a lot of Call of Duty. I played a lot of like single player games, like some hack and slash games, and then God of War and stuff like that. And then I had my PS3 forever and ever, and then whenever I moved into college, I got my Xbox One. Going into like junior year.
So what year? I guess what year did you start college?
I started 2000. Well, I graduated high school in 2013, so I started going into that like 2013, 2014 year.
So the PlayStation 4 was out already, right?
It was. The
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 was out, but it was out like leaving high school, but like I didn't really feel the necessity to go get one immediately. Right. And then I was at that point, it was like I was a Nintendo diehard, and then I became a huge Sony diehard by owning the PlayStation. I was a huge Sony diehard. And then
I guess we've never talked about it because, your kind of thing, except for the dark period I had where I didn't play anything, kind of seems very similar.
I was about to say, I was
from
a huge
Nintendo to Sony.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. And I was a huge Sony diehard, and then I actually ended up buying an Xbox 360. I think when Halo 4 came out. So I did have another system after the PlayStation 3. I had a PlayStation 3, and then when Halo 4 came out, I really, all my friends were buying it. Robert and some other friends I had, a big group of, 5 or 6 of my friends were buying Halo 4, and I was like, I don't want to be left out. And I had a pretty good job back then in high school, so I had and I wasn't paying for food, I was in high school. So I had a little bit of extra, income left over, and they were like, well, we're all buying Halo 4, and I was like, well, I want to play it, and they're like, well, you're gonna need an Xbox, and I'm like, I don't want to buy an Xbox, and they're like, you should do it, and I did it. So that night, I was just honestly, I went there with the intentions of just chilling with them while they waited in line for Halo 4, and then I walked out with an Xbox and Halo 4, and so I had that, and so I started to realize, well, both Microsoft and Sony have their perks. They both have really good games that are exclusive to them, and there's no reason to really be stuck to one because there's good experiences on both platforms. So going into college, I was thinking about buying a PS4 because I had some friends that had PS4s, like you and Aaron and stuff. Not going into college, going into junior year.
Sure.
And so I had already known you and Aaron, and they had PS4s, and I was like, I'm going to get a PS4, but then I had a bunch of other friends that had Xbox, and they're like, you should get an Xbox instead. So I got an Xbox One, had a lot of fun on it. I don't really have a whole lot of games on it. Played a lot of Overwatch on it. That's what got me into Overwatch. Before I even had my PC, I was into Overwatch. I was really into Overwatch on Xbox. Destiny, obviously, was my first game on Xbox One, and then some other games. I'm trying to think of some other games I had. Just some other games.
What would you say is your I guess all-time favorite? If you can make maybe a short list on short notice, maybe your top 5 favorite games of all time, maybe your number one favorite game of all time.
All-time favorite games. I'd have to say honestly, it's kind of a tough list. This is going to be a very loose list. It's not going to reflect my favorite.
I'm kind of
games,
just
off the top of my
right
head.
Now.
All-time favorite games. Fallout 3 probably has to be up at the top, and I don't know if it's because it's the best game on my list, but it's because it's the game I spent the most time on and had the most fun at the time playing. Maybe not my favorite game, but it's just the first game that comes to the top of my head that I spent that much time on a game. Wind Waker, obviously, is in there. Ocarina of Time. And then I'm trying to think of the last two. We got
You can only do 3. It's fine.
I was about to say there's a lot more games in there that I've
Yeah.
absolutely enjoyed. It's almost hard because I have a lot of games in my head, but
Yeah.
it's hard to pick.
No, I'm with you on that.
You know, one game that I spent a whole lot of time, and this has nothing to do with my top 5 list, but I don't know. Did you ever play Glover on the N64?
No, but I remember it. I remember seeing like previews for it.
I put so much time into that game, and I still to this day have no clue what that game was about. No, but Banjo-Kazooie. I loved Banjo-Kazooie as a kid. Put a lot of time into that game, and looking back on it, it was a freaky game. I don't know how I wasn't terrified as a kid. It was kind of freaky, like, do you ever remember like running into the characters and then the witch was always like,
yeah, the witch I guess was kind of creepy.
I don't know. It's just like looking back on it, it was kind of like for a little kid. Like I was a little kid when I played that game, and as a little kid, that was kind of a scary game. But
I guess,
but it's definitely a fun game. It was one of my favorites. And then I'm trying to think of some other games. But, you know, honestly, pretty much anything that I played that was on the Zelda list is going to be up there. And then Fallout, anything Fallout. I'm hesitant to say that I spent a lot of time on Overwatch. Honestly, I have to say Overwatch is, when it comes to, I don't play it as much as I play some other first-person shooters, but I enjoy it a lot more than I play. You know, because I play a lot of Battlefield 1 now.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I enjoy it quite as much as when I play Overwatch.
Right.
So I think that, which seems silly. Why wouldn't I play Overwatch more? But I think it's just because I have more friends that play Battlefield 1 at any given one point in time, and I want to play with friends. So I play that more often. But Overwatch is definitely a fun game. I don't know if it makes top 5 though. Honestly, I can't really think of it. And I don't want to, like, chew up any more time than we have to use on that.
No, you're good.
But
I'm just trying to get the whole picture of who Austin is.
Yeah.
Know?
I'd have to say, what are your top 5 favorite games?
Well, we did a segment on this, but thanks for not listening to the segments
I heard
that we did
I heard that
on the
one.
podcast.
I heard that one.
You can go back and listen to that whole podcast where we, let me try to find the list.
I'm just
here.
trying to see if you could spitball some ideas at me, and then I might be able to pick off
I
a bit.
put Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, BioShock, Uncharted 4, Metal Gear Solid 3, Pokemon Red and Blue, Red Dead Redemption, Star Fox 64, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Arkham Asylum, Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus kind of goes down.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool...
I want to throw that in there because I completely forgot about... No, not Shadow.
Oh.
BioShock.
Yeah,
BioShock. I forgot I played it. Hands down, BioShock 1, just 1, is hands down one of my favorites. It was so much fun. And it's kind of hard to... It's been so long. I want to say it's hard to make my top 5 list right now because it's been so long since I've looked at my PS3 collection.
Sure.
And I've named, like, my favorite Nintendo games. A good amount of my favorite games came out of, like, good story games that I played on PS3, and it's been so long since I looked at that collection that they're not just, like, pinging off the top of my head right now. But BioShock is definitely on there. BioShock 1 was, and just the storytelling on that game was very great, and then, like, that twist that came at the end was wonderful. It was wonderful storytelling on that game, and it, hands down, I think, is one of the greats. And Red Dead. I loved Red Dead.
Yeah, me too. I think that might be the best ending of a video game.
I spent a lot of time playing Red Dead, and before I played Red Dead, I think actually the funny thing is I think Red Dead is the game that got me into Grand Theft Auto games. It wasn't the other way around. I didn't play Red Dead because I was, like, a big San Andreas fan or anything like that. I played Red Dead because they were like, well, Rockstar makes good, Grand Theft Auto games, but now they're making this, cowboy game. And then back when G4 was a thing, I would watch G4 every day. And this is back when I was in, like, football. So I'd wake up for 2 days. I'd have to wake up real early for them. And, I'd wake up an hour early so that I could watch, like, XPlay or something like that on G4 and, see all the new stuff coming out. And Red Dead showed up, and I was like, I never played any Rockstar games, but this game looks crazy. And I bought that thing, and it was a wonderful game. I loved Red Dead so much, and I spent so much time on it, and you could almost not even follow the story. You could just sit down in one of the towns and play poker for like an hour,
It was impressive, and I can't wait for Red Dead Redemption 2.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked.
Hope that comes out this year.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't, but,
But
maybe.
I think really anything
if that came out
Rockstar-
this year, man, this year for video games is insane.
anything Rockstar puts out has always been pretty good.
Yeah.
But I hands down think, in a way, Red Dead has a much more innocent story, so you can almost
Yeah, I'd say so. You play more. I mean, you can play a villain, but it's more Western. Like it's a Western. It's a
not so
cowboy
much
story.
criminal based as
Yeah.
it is. There's a real,
Wild
There's
West.
a real family based story in Red Dead 1. I don't know about Red Dead 2, but there's a family based, more like an innocent.
Well, technically,
mean,
Red Dead 3.
You're a gun toting, you're
Mhm.
a badass outlaw, but it's based in a more innocent demeanor. I think it helps.
I hear it's not about. It's
It helps
not.
you connect with the character.
It's
a
not
little
as
bit better.
sarcastic and violent and kind of I guess maybe mean as Grand Theft Auto is.
Mhm.
Grand Theft Auto is very in your
Fun.
face.
It's good
very-
stories too, but
But
fun
yeah,
arcade.
but Red
fun
Dead,
arcade. But
Red Dead seemed like
Dead's-
more like an old spaghetti western, an old story,
and they did a good job. With
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they did a really good job. Video Game Film School, Crate Train Vids, YouTuber.com. Anyway, so yeah, we had like 2 Twitter questions from I think Gustav and Ginsburg,
Okay.
our good pal Ginsburg, but I don't know if we have too much time to get into them. I mean, we're kind of getting up to it, but I guess, yeah. So Tom Ginsburg asks, favorite video game movie?
Favorite video game movie?
I don't think I have a favorite.
A lot of them are terrible.
Yeah. I would say it doesn't count, but maybe something like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, or
that was a good movie.
where it's not necessarily a movie based on a video game, but a movie that's sort of inspired by video
game
games.
styled
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And that
There was another one that came out recently that was kind of similar to where it's like a video game movie. I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to think of any video game movies that really came out. Like, there's a few of them. I know there are. They had the Mario Bros.
Oh
movie.
my god! No, I mean
That was
they have a ton of them.
terrible.
Yeah, they had like 4 of them last year. Probably Mortal Kombat has to be the best one, right?
No.
Yeah, come on. It's fun. It's
fun.
It's
but
fun.
it is a garbage
Yeah,
movie.
it's garbage.
Well, what other video game movies have come out
A lot. I don't have a list.
recently?
I mean, recently, last year, the Assassin's Creed,
you ever
World
see
War.
that?
No, World of Warcraft. They had the Angry
I
Birds
liked
movie.
that.
You did?
But that's because I'm a big Hearthstone fan.
Okay.
I play a lot of Hearthstone. I honestly have only played a very limited amount of World of Warcraft, and that was fully. I got to level 20 with a character to get a Hearthstone character. Like, that's the only reason I played World of Warcraft. I did the free trial, get to level 20.
Yeah.
I got to level 20 just to get a Hearthstone hero. So my Hearthstone or my World of Warcraft lore, knowledge of World of Warcraft lore comes from playing Hearthstone and then either seeing these legendary cards or seeing these heroes. And sometimes I get bored and I Google them and kind of like read, wikis on like the World of Warcraft lore. So very limited knowledge of World of Warcraft lore, a little bit, but not much. But even with my very limited knowledge of it, I think it made me appreciate the movie a little bit more because I kind of understood some of the
Sure.
stuff they were talking about. I could see how someone who had no knowledge of any kind of lore going in could see how it's not that great of a movie. But I think for either, the really die-hard World of Warcraft fans or for the even the Hearthstone fans like me who don't really have a huge World of Warcraft knowledge, but a slight bit, I think it was kind of exciting to see that in a thematic, circumstances,
Mhm.
like a movie. And I'm not gonna say it was a great movie, but it was fun. It was a very fun movie.
Gustav asks, favorite movie video game? He says he hopes it's E.T. on Atari. E.T. was the game that pretty much destroyed the video game industry.
Favorite movie video game? I haven't
There are
played...
a lot of good ones.
I haven't played a whole lot. I probably honestly have and just can't think of them, but Alien Isolation.
Yeah, I need to
I
get
think
that,
was
especially
a
since
wonderful game.
I'm on such an Alien kick right now, and I've kind of like regained my love of the movie Alien. I kinda
Alien
wanna play
Isolation, I have it on Xbox One.
Mhm.
I am at I think I'm about a third or maybe half the way. I don't think I'm a whole half of the way.
It's
through
I
the
hear it's a
game.
little too long. Like
It
they should
is
have shortened it.
quite long, but it is, because I've never been a huge horror game fan where you don't have a weapon or anything, you can't fight back.
Yeah,
you
I
just
don't
have
like
to
that
run.
either.
But I know a lot of people are, but I've never been a huge fan of that because I'm the kind of person where if it's a horror game and I'm like hiding under a desk and someone's like, oh well, the enemy can't see you, I'm like, well, I'm just gonna sit here forever, they'll never find me. I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
So I bought Alien Isolation because Austin had it, and I started playing it, and it's cool because it's not terrifying in the sense that it's like horror game terrifying, but it's very thriller terrifying. So same kind of gameplay mechanics as your average horror game, but very...
Yeah, and it's set in that world, that alien kind of
and
spaceship.
I think that's what makes it fun, is because I haven't seen all the Alien movies, but I've seen most of them, and it has a very 80s vibe to the game.
Well,
itself.
it's
It's
that
based off
80s
of
tech,
Yeah, and everything looks... It's so weird because they did a wonderful job of making this game. Everything looks so high tech and so old at the same time. Like, it looks like an Alien movie, and I think they did a wonderful job of that xenomorph. And it's tough. I mean, it really is tough because you can be hiding in a locker and the xenomorph can still, if you're moving around, it can hear you. And even if you have, especially if you have your Kinect attached, it is voice activated. So if the room is real loud around you, the xenomorph can hear it. If you're making a lot of movement and your Kinect camera, I think, picks it up, it can hear it. And so if you have the Kinect, it adds a whole new depth to the game. If you're hiding in a locker, you have to move your body all the way back to the back of the locker, and then if you have a Kinect plug, and then it can still find you, but you have to be real still. And then if you have a Kinect plug in, it adds a whole new depth because you physically have to be quiet or else it can hear you. And I think that's a really cool... It's kind of gimmicky, but it's a really cool idea that they added into it. I'm saying that's one of my favorite movie games because that's the only one that comes to the top of my head when you said that. But I think it would stack up against most movie games I've played because I really have enjoyed it. I haven't beat it, but I really have enjoyed that game as, just a work of art, and it is really wonderful. It is long, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I hear it is pretty long. Just like this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, man, it's been fun having you on. Talking.
Absolutely.
We need to do this
I've had
again.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've been having a good time. I'm kind of tired now. It's been fun though, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I knew this was gonna be. We've had good conversations, and so I knew this was gonna be a success in some front. I didn't think it was just gonna be no talking whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
So no, very insightful. So we filled a good hour and a half. We need to get you on again.
And I was about to say, this was my first one, so I think
you gotta blow the load. It's been so long.
I think coming on maybe again or more, will help me kind of keep my thoughts down a little. I don't have to, share everything that comes to my mind.
It's all good, man. It was fun. We went long, but it's fine.
Yeah. No, I had a lot of fun. I love talking about this, and there's something exciting about the aspect of like, not only do you get to hear my thoughts, but maybe someone else can hear them. And if I share anything that someone finds interesting, that's a cool thought.
Well, Austin, where can we find you on Twitter or any kind of social media, anything like that you do?
Twitter.
Or whatever you use on a daily basis.
My name is Austin Engler. Just my name.
Phone number?
You want to know my phone number? Social security number as well.
Yeah.
On Twitter, Honestly, hold on.
I mean, whatever. Anyway, if people want to ask
I
you
can't
anything.
remember my Twitter
God
name.
damn it.
It's just Austin Engler, Engler,
Alright.
at Austin Engler. And then there's not really a whole much else to find me. I have a YouTube channel, but I pretty much use it for commenting on Trey's videos. It's an old channel. I don't want anyone following it. But Twitch. We have both Trey Vids Twitch.
Trey Vids Twitch.
But we also share a Twitch, me and him. It is literally Hammered.
We probably need to change that to something else.
I honestly believe we're going to be changing the name
We
of
should
it.
change it to your T-shirt name.
Penn State.
Well, that's a weird shirt to wear.
Penn State.
Yeah, did you just pick that
See
up?
the bottom?
Oh, South Dakota.
South Dakota State Penitentiary.
Okay, that's a little funnier. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
it's a little funnier. I thought that was a real Penn State shirt.
No,
so
it's
I'm like,
South Dakota
that's
State.
a little weird to wear.
State Penitentiary.
But okay, that's a little better now.
Yeah, my dad got it while he was in South Dakota. But
that's funny. All right.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
so Twitch name is literally Hammered. We stream, honestly, there's no limitation to what we stream. We've streamed Overwatch before. We've streamed Counter-Strike. We've streamed...
absolutely nothing before.
We've streamed Firewatch.
Did we play Soma for a little bit?
We played Soma for a little bit.
Rocket League.
A lot of Rocket League.
Yeah, man.
So it's weird. We'll stream, competitive like shooters, like Counter-Strike, and then we'll do just some like goofy games. So it's literally Hammered. It started out as the name had something to do with the channel, but I believe we're gonna change that name. So hopefully we can
it's something else. Yeah.
Hopefully whenever we finally come to a decision on what that is, we can maybe tell people the new name. But
you want to give us suggestions for names for a Twitch channel for me and Austin.
If you have suggestions on any kind of names on that,
just names in general, just give us names. We just want names.
Things together.
Yeah.
But if y'all want to go follow the channel as is right now for what it is, because it'll probably stay like that for a while until we come up with something. Literally Hammered. And then we can go ahead and we haven't streamed in a while, but we need to start doing that more often.
I streamed a little bit of editing the other day on my personal one.
And then if you give us any suggestions on what you want us to stream, we will definitely get on there and stream it on there. It's more of a group kind of stream thing, so but go follow it. We need more followers, and we'd love to stream more, and then change that name, and then you can all go follow the new channel. Sure. But until then, literally Hammered. And I think that's about it. I think that's about all the ways they can contact me, unless they want to go Facebook me. But
Facebook, Austin Engler.
Exact same name as Twitter.
Instagram.
Snapchat. Actually, Instagram. My Instagram is I loved you too. Because I was making fun of one of my friends back in high school. I was making fun of one of my friends with a huge nose.
Okay. Okay. All right.
It's all in fun and games. We're still friends.
Okay. All right. That's where Austin's coming from. So yeah, follow me at Trey Vids on Twitter. You can find all my stuff on YouTube and everywhere. Everything is on TreyTMitchell.com. I haven't put my newest video on there. I just did a video on the film Influences of Blood Dragon. Find that on my YouTube channel at Trey 1310. I think it's still 1310. So I might need to change that.
Trey. I think it's just Trey.
Yeah, I think it's just Trey. I think just search Trey. It's the one that's not a 7-year-old kid.
No, he's not on there anymore.
No, he's still on there. I checked the other day. Yeah.
No, I looked it up the other day.
He's still on there. He's still posting stuff, man. He's going to be more popular than I am.
Probably, honestly.
A 7-year-old kid.
I'm about to look this up.
Yeah, he's still on there.
No, because I looked it up yesterday, and he was not on there.
Okay, I think he's on there still.
Look at that. You're the only one that popped up.
Craytrey, Trey?
Yeah. No, I don't know how to spell. Yes, I'm spelling your name.
Here,
wait. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you see?
Yeah, go follow the other Trey.
Go follow the 7-year-old kid who looks like...
he posts better content
like a young
anyway.
Scott Bromley.
He posts better content anyway.
He does.
No, but definitely, absolutely, go check out Trey's YouTube channel if you aren't already following him or subscribed to him. I actually subscribed to you yesterday.
I saw that.
I thought I was subscribed already. I could have sworn I was.
Guess
no,
not.
but definitely makes wonderful videos. I help with some of them. But he's video game film school.
We should be doing that Noir skit soon, or the short film it's turned into soon.
See, the thing is, the script's done. It just needs to be worked on.
Yeah.
And then we always get together like every weekend and we're like, we're going to work on it. And then we never do.
Nope.
But video game film school videos he has on there, and he has a few other skits on there. You definitely go check them out. They're wonderful, wonderful videos, wonderful content. And if you are bored, they will keep you entertained.
Well, thank you, Austin. I'm glad for. I appreciate that little pitch.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
might as well.
You're a good guy, Austin.
Might as well.
You're a good kid.
Wow.
You're gonna do well.
Yeah, I hope you.
I think your girlfriend's dead. I don't know.
Payment for. I have to pay you for coming on this show by selling your content.
Treat her nice tonight, okay? Be nice to her.
What?
What?
Just leave her here. She's
Just
asleep.
leave her. Yeah, it's fine.
She's asleep.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. So yeah, well, thanks for listening. Go follow Austin on his things and call him up and tell him he's a nice guy.
We've been on this closing statement.
I'm really bad at closing podcasts.
I was about to say we have been closing this thing and saying follow each other for the past 5 minutes.
I'm really bad at closing. I just never want to leave. I never want to wait. I don't want to wait for my life to be over.
We're gonna go ahead and let me do this. Thanks for listening. Have a great night.
It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road. It is a road that you go. It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road. And you will know when you get there. It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road. It is a road that you go. It's a road that you go when you die. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's a road we're all gonna go. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's got Princess Peach, Mario, and the Toad. It's a road called Rainbow Road. It's a road we're all gonna go. We'll go. It's Rainbow Road. It's where you go when you die. It's Rainbow Road. I'll miss you again, Uncle. It's Rainbow Road. It's where you go. When you die, it's Rainbow Road. I'll miss you again on Rainbow Road. It's called a road, it's called a rainbow road.